Dear HiDive, we have to talk. Oh, Sentai Filmworks, are you in there too? Come on in here. Come in here. AMC too? No. Come on in here. Come in here. Come in. Sit down. We need to talk. Honestly, I never wanted to make this video. I'm a patient guy, and honestly, I've been pretty much vocal to my large podcast listeners and my growing YouTube channel to be very patient with HiDive. The growing pains that typically come from a streaming service trying to build up their audience. So over the last several years, and even back before HiDive itself existed, I've been trying to chime on people to be patient with Sentai Filmworks as they built their way into the streaming world. I and many people find HiDive to be critical to the anime sphere, especially right now. With the buyout of Crunchyroll and Funimation, you guys are extremely important to us. There is a legitimate fear right now for the future of anime if we do not have some sort of competition going on. And let's be honest, Netflix and Disney are not competitors. They're doing their own thing. We need HiDive to be there for the seasonal anime and to fight to not only make sure that we have other options, to force Crunchyroll to keep their service evolving, and to make sure that prices don't come down just because there's only one buyer. Bid wars are technically healthy. It makes sure the anime industry are still getting a lot of money for their titles. HiDive, we need you strong. We need you healthy. And to do that, you need to not suck. So after many years of supporting you and telling my podcast listeners about you, and honestly being apologetic for your shortcomings, it's time to get better. Many problems in your service has been long needing to be repaired. Focus is needed there to stabilize your service, provide better service, and ultimately expand your services. So here we are, my Dear HiDive video, where I want to make a direct plea to HiDive on how they should fix those services. Because we all know, it's not like you guys ever answer your emails. Which I guess could be our first point. Communication. Yes, this is some obvious stuff, but honestly, if you have a problem there, it looks like I have to point it out. You're offering a service to a consumer. It's basic knowledge that the consumer is your lifeblood. So you need to be respectful of that consumer and be very clear about things. How many times have you completely lost a title from your catalog only to say nothing about it? And if you say anything about it, it's a response to some news organization that's asking you about it. Make a tweet. There's so many channels of communication that you can make that's so easy and quick. How many times you've had a complete system downage not to communicate that to your users? No communication that you're working on it to improve it, or just to say that you have knowledge of it. Most consumers, including myself, is very understanding of these issues. It happens. Computers break, servers go down. And yes, people make mistakes. Something gets put in wrong and it breaks things. As long as you acknowledge the issue, people will know that you're working on it. This is a huge problem back when AX happened. And HiDive was giving out a lot of these free month subscriptions. We had months of just downright downage on a regular basis. And there was no word that you even knew it was happening. You obviously knew it was happening. But we didn't know that you knew. No responses, no public messages. It honestly makes somebody like me, who's going out there and putting my name on a suggestion for your service, look really bad. And that's what angers me the most. I had your back, and you didn't have mine. And that's not even to get started on email and support. Just respond to them, and don't give rote messages that are just copy and pasted. And please, answer some of my emails, because you guys never want to respond to mine. But let's move on from here. Let's talk about your website. Yes, it's pretty, it's modern, but it's not functional. Pretty sites are fine for a one-time visit. You come there, it looks pretty, you click on the things and things expand and move around. But for people that have to repeat visit, it sucks, it's repetitive. First of all, fix your cookie system or whatever you're using that's at fault for logging people out. I step away for a minute and I have to log back in. And I know it's not just me. I see tons of people repeating the same problem, constantly being logged out, constantly having to log back in. And this extends to your apps. I've had several times on my apps where I just go away for a little bit and I have to re-authenticate the device. You should never have to do that. Once it's authenticated, it should be authenticated. That's mainly why I never use a device besides a browser, because then at least it's easier for me to log back in. Which gets me onto my probably biggest beef I have with HiDive right now. Your website navigation sucks. Like I said, it's pretty, but it's not functional. Let's do an experiment. How many clicks does it take for me to get to the show I want to watch? Starting from HiDive.com. Obviously, I'm logged out because it never keeps me logged in. So let's go through the clicks. 1. Profile. 2. Login. 3. Username. 4. Password. 5. Sign in. I have to wait for a bit. 6. Scroll through my queue. 7. Click on a show. 8. Episode list. 9. Click to scroll through it. 10. Click an episode. Another wait. And then 11 to start playing it. 11 clicks to start watching a show from your main page. Why is there not a watch list or a queue page? Crunchyroll can pull it off. They've had it for a long time now. I should be able to go to one bookmark, be kept login, and see every show that I want to watch. Again, one click, bam, I have my shows. Click on the show, bam, I'm there. And yes, most importantly, I stay logged in. Let's transition to another way of consuming your content, your apps on different platforms. While I don't regularly use an app, mainly because I said earlier, I have to keep authenticating my device, it has some major issues, especially as of late. One thing I keep hearing from a lot of people is this whole system maintenance error. While people are complaining over here that system maintenance is happening or they're being kicked out of episodes, I'm watching it just fine on a browser. And this has been constant for the last month. And again, never acknowledged online. The last time you mentioned a maintenance issue was like years ago. Then there's a problem I always have where I go to click on an episode and it just sits there at 0 out of 0 for several minutes. I have to back out and come back in. And never tell it that you want to resume where you started because that always breaks. But then again, back to my original biggest issue, this re-authenticating thing over and over again. Now granted, anime services have always sucked with apps on devices. Let's be perfectly honest, but do better. That doesn't mean that you're able to allow it to be a problem. For my next topic I want to go into is go bigger. What's most important, especially in today's streaming sphere, is to expand. You need to increase your availability to other regions, but not just that. Don't just make things available. Increase how many languages and translations you have available. There's no point in allowing your content to be in a region that has non-English speaking people as the vast majority of people without actually having that. And that expands into dubs as well. Accessibility is an important thing in anime. While I don't watch dubs, I know that it's very important to have dubs available to people that can't read subtitles, have issues reading it, or just not comfortable with reading it. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there that just doesn't like to hear Japanese spoken word for some weird reason. And don't just expand the dub availability, also make it quicker. I know this stuff costs money, but if you want to actually compete with this in the marketplace, it's important because you're getting your butt kicked. The next thing I want to talk about is play to your advantages. Let's be honest, Crunchyroll, Funimation, Sony, they have a little bit of a problem that has been pretty much a controversy for a long time. The availability of uncensored content. Yes, you can make the argument there's probably exclusivities in Japan that prevents them from getting it, but they never tell us. We just assume that they're trying to censor content. They don't want to see that kind of stuff on their platform. And when they do put that stuff on their platform, they make sure that they get the version that nobody will complain about, the one that doesn't show anything. But that's your strength, HiDive. People come to you because you're more likely to get the uncensored version. Now, while you don't, a lot of the time, you have the option and the ability to show them up there. I seem to remember at some point you guys made a comment about how you can get it here. That was bold. Play into that. Show that you're willing to have the content there that's not altered. And if you can't get it, be clear about it. There was no reason why you got Peter Grill this season and didn't say anything about which version you would get. Be honest. Again, people will understand. If you say there's an exclusivity, they'll go, okay, that's fine. You tried. But because you don't communicate it, we feel like we're tricked, and at the same time, we think it's your fault. And finally, my last point I want to make is go for bigger titles. You're growing. The last season was amazing. Summer, you guys went swinging. And you're doing it again this season. But there still remains the fact that you're not going for big titles. You're going for a lot of niche titles. And while I understand that those bigger shonens cost a lot of money, that's what it's going to take for you guys to really stand out there. Go big, go bold, go after those big shonen titles. Get that first big title on your platform and take off. It's unfortunate, but yes, a majority of the viewers of anime only watch the shonen shows. They want their My Hero Academia, they want their Attack on Titan, and they watch nothing else. That's why Crunchyroll has the large subscription base they have, is because they have those titles that a vast majority of anime viewers, it's all they watch. They don't care about Urusei Yatsura. They don't care about Akiba Maid War. It's very unfortunate, but that's the case. Me personally, I believe that if you guys get enough titles each season and you don't back down from this, I think that's enough. At the same time, if you're ever going to want to see that significant growth, you're going to have to go swinging. Get AMC to back you up a little bit. Get that big title for that one season and see the growth you see. And let it multiply. Because the moment you get that big shonen, you're going to see the subs go up. And then that cost will then be able to be put back into another big shonen. And lastly, and I don't think you're doing this yet, don't put that money into Western titles. Here recently, we've seen you started putting non-anime titles on your platform. And honestly, nobody wants it. Anime fans want anime. They go to HiDive for anime. Don't be Crunchyroll. Don't start putting a bunch of this other stuff on your platform. HiDive is for streaming anime. We don't want Western titles on it. But what do I know? I'm just a guy yelling at a camera. But either way, I wanted to sit you guys down and really talk to you about what you can really do to improve your platform, because honestly, I've been apologizing for you guys for a long time and I can't do it for much longer. Get better, do better, and please get stronger. I fully support the idea of having another service available that fights back against this one big monopoly. And the last thing I want to happen is have HiDive be sold off to Sony or walk out the door. We support you. Support us for supporting you. Be clear on communication, improve your service, and keep supplying the titles we want. Signed, your consumer for many, many years.